FKFPL review show. My name is Robinson Okenye. Now, over the weekend, we did not have football Kenya Premier League matches taking place, but we did have the cup competition taking place. But right here on FKFPL review show, today it's a different gear. We want to take a look at the players that have impressed so far after 11 rounds. And also, we'll be taking a look at the form guide for different teams. In studio, I am with Cedric Musumba, Roger Seshtemi, and today it's an attacking trio. We'll be joined by Steve Ayo. First things first, welcome to the show, Steve. It's been a while since we had you right here.
Yeah, I've been waiting for your call, Robbie. It's a pleasure always to be on the same set with the two gentlemen. I'm sure they've been having a lot of field day in my absence, but yeah, I'm back today. Let me hear what they have to say.
Of course, we'll be taking a look at the players that have impressed so far in the league. And Cedric Musumba is right here, is itching to give us his players that have impressed so far. And not to leave out Roger Seshtemi, who feels that the players that we've been talking about right here on the FKFPL review show, most of them, it's good that they've been called to the national football team, Harambee Stars, the provisional squad over the local best players. So we want to begin with Elvis Rupia. Now, the FC Leopards marksman was named the player of the month. That is for December. Let's listen in to what he had to say at the award ceremony before the gentlemen dig in.
We are 2018, so that's why nilikuwa najipush more than when nilikuwa najipush 2018.
I think it's, when you have an individual award, alone he cannot do nothing. So he needs his teammates. So it means that if he was called the best player of the month, it means that his teammates around made a good job for him as well. And I'm sure that he thanks his teammates.
Elvis Rupia with 10 goals so far. Remember, was named the player of the month for December, scoring 6 goals in 4 matches. Cedric Musumba, let's dig into this award that was given to Elvis Rupia, the striker for FC Leopards. What do you make of the award that goes to him and how instrumental he was for FC Leopards in the month of December?
It is a morale boost to Elvis Rupia, given that he has been working hard to ensure that he's on the score sheet each and every match he has faced. And as a striker, always, if you're celebrated in the same way that he has been celebrated, we know those awards has been there.
Yes. And
strikers have been getting celebration in different ways across the world. But as always, as a striker, if actually you get appreciated in a manner Elvis Rupia was appreciated,
yes,
it gives you a go-ahead move. And I think moving forward, now that those kind of award has really started coming in,
yes,
and they're coming in at a time when he's on his top notch, will push him harder even to bag more goals. Remember, the highest score KPL then before that we now call FKF has registered is 27 goals. And I think going to round 11, round 9 to that is to FC Leopard, and Rupia is already on 10 goals.
Yes.
It's a clear mark that Rupia, if plays very well with a lot of focus and a kind of resilient and an urge to score,
yes,
he will end up even surpassing that record that has already been set ahead of him.
Yes.
And I think also having listened to him, is a kind of a striker who is now ripe at this particular time. Remember, this is a lad who has played for Nzoia Sugar. It's a lad who has also played for Wazito. It's a lad who has traveled outside the country, that's to Zambia and then back to Kenya.
Yes.
He has amassed an environment of experience that really gives him a competitive edge over given time. And I think this is his time. If he need to drop it right now, the only thing also I heard from their new acquisition coach
yes,
is that Rupia doesn't not really always think as an individual player, because that individual brilliancy can always be supported by a teamwork.
Yes.
And as Rupia having won this, it should be celebrated as a team. It's not always as an attack to Rupia, because if it's attack to Rupia, it means he was going back collecting those goals by himself and scoring, which is not the case. He need to understand that he has been playing in a pool of a team,
yes,
a pool of a team member. He need also to actually realize that if not being supplied by gold, he wouldn't have amassed those kind of goals that he's being celebrated right now.
Shtemi, 6 goals. I mean, he scored a hat-trick against Sofapaka, 2 against Bidco, and also he scored against Tusker in the opening tie for FC Leopards. That was in December. What do you make of this gentleman, Elvis Rupia? Remember 2 weeks ago, he was right here on FKFPL shows telling us that he hopes that at the end of the season, he will be the person carrying home the golden boots.
Robbie, I think Rupia paraphrases everything regarding to the stone the builder rejected. Remember, he was at Wazito, just like my friend Sedua said.
Yes.
And at Wazito, he was frozen, he was released, like a person who maybe doesn't know football. But here he is, he has redeemed himself, he has proved the critics wrong, and he's in the form of his life. Remember, even at the weekend, he did his magic again. He scored a hat-trick against the Paito Taveta when FC Leopards thrashed them 6-0. So this tells you this is a player who is not maybe gazing, but he's enjoying whatever he's doing. And with the support, with the supply he has at the Den, definitely he's one of the players to watch. And I'm happy he got the award on Friday. And that is a moral booster for him. And it's a challenge to other players. Though, as you know, in football, it is always the strikers who get most recognition because of the goals compared to other players in the team. So let's wait and see. Maybe other players will step to the plate and give them a challenge as the league progresses.
Steve Ayo, do you agree with the sentiments made by Rogers Shtemi and Cedric Musumba?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think his contributions so far show a player who's feeling right at home. I mean, the fact that he's actually played for at least 3 clubs in the last 3-4 years since he came from Zoya just shows you how much he's been unsettled in the other clubs. But so far, I think with the FC Leopards, with the goal returns that he's had so far, scoring, is it 2 hat-tricks already this season, just shows that this is a player who's feeling right at home. And I'm happy for him because sometimes when you make so many moves, you're moving from one club to another and you're not finding that consistency. You always kind of tend to lose your form and lose your focus and actually lose your hunger for the game. But for him, I think he's kept himself hungry. He's always wanting that ball. He's always wanting to score those goals. And so far, the goals are coming in. And, I think the recognition was actually quite deserved. 6 goals in 4 matches is no mean feat. And he's one of the top strikers in the country as we speak. So really, I don't think there's anyone who deserves that reward more than him.
Well, gentlemen, before we move on to our next talking point, tomorrow, that is 16th of February, we expect the Player of the Month for January to be named. Now, I would like you to speculate, probably who do you feel should get that award? Let me begin with Rogers Shtemi. Who do you feel like should be given the award for the Player of the Month for January? Because the award will be given out tomorrow.
Even prior to tomorrow's award, Robbie, I think I need to go back a little on Rupia. Rupia, I think, averagely he had 1 goal in each match.
Yes.
That is the form he had. Now let's move to tomorrow's award.
Yes.
Just like Rupia, I think KCB has had one of the best form during the month of January. And that is thanks to their coach and the playing unit is left. So from my maybe prophecy, I could see Michael Mutinda maybe bagging up that award tomorrow.
Cedric, who do you think, or rather, who are you speculating to win the Player of the Month for January now that the award will be held tomorrow?
My formula for awarding a player has always based on how this player has contributed to his team, not necessarily by scoring, by the fact that he's playing as a unit, to support the team to ensure that at the end of it, they win as a team, as opposed to an individual. And if I try to scale it to that particular fact, I will still attribute my award to James Saruni, simply given that this is a goalkeeper who has kept the most clean sheet up to the level that we are. Remember, he's on 7 this time round. Those other goalkeepers who are trying to chase him are on 5. It tells you a goalkeeper who is out there to ensure that he doesn't really lose in goals. And is a goalkeeper who is out. And the fact that he has been captaining Ulinzi is a kind of a goalkeeper. If at all Ulinzi defenders gives him a cover, they can as well as move ahead registering good results under his watch.
So the prophecy for Cedric is James Sarudi. The prophecy for Roger Sistemi is Michael Mutinda for KCB.
Let me differ shortly with Cedric.
Just a minute. Before you differ with Cedric, let's give a chance to Steve Ayo to hear what he has to say about who should get the award for January. Steve, who are you going for?
I think Rogers has gone for a very safe debate. You must have seen that that presser saying that the award ceremony will be held at KCB Center.
Yes.
But I mean, if you are to give it to any KCB player, but even for me, really, any Tusker player, I won't have any issues. I think the likes of Sammy Major, the likes of even Boniface Mushiri, you know, these are players who went out there, things didn't work out. He's back, he's actually giving in the assist and giving in the performance of a player who looks like he was never away.
Yes.
So if you look at even the midfield of Tusker, if you're giving it to somebody like Hashim Pempala, I won't have any issues with that. But yeah, I think KCB, they've given Tusker and, you know, every team actually so far in this season are run for their money. So if you're giving it to any Tusker player or KCB player, I won't have issues. But if you give it to Saruni, I'll have big issues.
Exactly, that is where I was heading to.
Okay, why would you have issues, Eshtemi, with Saruni bagging the word?
You know, sometimes when maybe you add this...
So are you saying the goalkeeper should not be given the
Not really.
Yes.
But my argument is this, Robbie. I think sometimes you look at the opposition the teams face. Let's take an example at Ulinzi. Which type of opposition did Ulinzi...
Their first game in the season was against Gor Mahia.
And
they lost 1-0.
Exactly.
Ever since then, he's conceded less than 2 goals.
Exactly. I understand Ulinzi so far, I think, is the highest team with the draws. That is 8 exactly, followed by the regular Posta Rangers who have 7.
But now, courtesy of who?
It is, of course, it's courtesy of Saruni. But now, let's look at the type of teams the Ulinzi Stars faced. Let's look the strength. Yeah, I think they have not faced the top 4.
But they KCB.
apart from, and which month was that?
It was last month.
Okay.
Actually, the beginning of February.
Oh, the beginning of, and we are talking about January.
January, yes.
So it's out of order for you to say Sarun should have picked it.
Well, gentlemen, let's continue with the conversation right here, and it gets interesting as we move on. So remember, the top scorer so far is none other than Eric Paito, 12 goals to his name, while Elvis Rupia has 10, and Henry Major and Lawrence Juma have each scored 5 goals so far. Let's dig into Eric Paito, gentlemen. I want to begin with Steve Ayo. What are your thoughts on Eric Paito so far? 12 goals, and the last game they played against Bandari, he did not have managed to find the back of the net.
He's one player who I always keep asking myself, what kind of a contract does he have with Kariobangi Sharks? Because he's always giving in those double figures each and every season in terms of even goals and assists. He not only scores them, but he creates them as well, and he scores all manner of goals. You're talking of headers, you're talking of, you know, left foot, right foot. He's a complete striker, if you ask me. But we've always seen over the last couple of seasons, the player who finishes as the top scorer always finds their ways out there. Like we're talking of like John Mark Makwata. These are players who've actually Masood Juma. These are players who've performed and have emerged as the top scorers out of a league season. But they've always gone out there and you know, tried against the defenses out there. But with Paito, some 2 seasons ago, he was the top scorer. Last season, he's been, I think, Shark scorer since he joined the club, except for the season when Masood Juma hit the big figures for them. But he's still at Kariobangi Sharks. So I think he's playing below his level, to be honest. Zambia has always been such a good hunting ground for Kenyan strikers. So I don't know what he's still doing at Kariobangi Sharks. Hopefully, by the end of the season, he'll make a move. Having said that, I think he's one of those complete strikers. He'll always give you goals. He'll always give you work rate. You know, he works his socks off when he's on that field, and that's why actually he's even the captain of that team for many of the games this season. So he's one player that I think we really have to have a good look into. I'm actually glad that he's up there with the likes of Rupia. It shows that the goals are not drying up for our local strikers, and that bodes well for the national team as well.
Well, of course, that is Steve Ayo giving us his thoughts on Erica Paito. Now, the other player that is on 5 goals is Henry Major. Last week, he was awarded as Tuskers Player of the Month. So let's listen into what Henry Major had to say on how the season has been for him so far before Eshtemi and Cedric give their views.
So nitaendelea kupush more na niko hapa kusaidia timu, so tutawako wote pamoja at least tuweze kubeba hii league this season. Nimekuwa poa, timu iko na morali, kila mtu ananipea morali, alafu kuna wenye tumecheza nao, tumesoma nao huko wa national team, so niko na confidence nikiwa huko.
He got it through good performance, so he should continue working hard. Yeah, but he forget that he got the award. So award can challenge, can cheat you, you relax. So when you get award, you still need more awards.
That is Tusker coach Robert Matano speaking after Henry Major was awarded as the player of the month at Tusker. Cedric, what do you make of Henry Major so far? I mean, he's been a man of the match on this show for man of the week rather on this show for quite a while, and he was awarded as the player of the month at Tusker. What do you make of him, and what Matano said that, you know, once you get an award, that becomes a challenge that you should keep up?
True, I totally agree with the manager Matano, yes, to the fact that Major is a very young lad. A word actually can grow into his mind and maybe start affecting his results simply because he might think that he's there, and to the fact he's not yet there. Remember, he's only scoring at Tusker, but his aim should not be at Tusker. He should be aiming at other bigger teams that are either trading outside the country and even, if lucky enough, maybe trading in Europe. But he's doing a very good job to the fact that he has been identified, and he's now started being awarded, given to the fact of how he's trading at the pitch. But remember, he also have an advantage of trading in a very good, articulative and gelled up team. To the fact that Tusker, and I remember telling you here, Robbie, that Tusker is one of these FKFPL team that has got a unit segmented of rich players. To the fact that if first players plays this week, Matano can even risk to rotate another squad come next week, and they will still give him results. Yes. And we have seen that happening. And even Tusker's bench, if you come from bench, every player that has come from bench has given that the edge and the push of getting them goals. And that's what any coach will look for. Major now being supported behind by the likes of Luke Namanda, Hashim Sampala, you realize they're the kind of player who have really, as in mastered his art of scoring, to the fact that they know where to place ball, they know where to pass him ball, and they know when he's making his runs towards hitting the target. And that's what has actually contributed to him getting us this goal that we are celebrating him. The fact that he's very young, and I think young and talented, he needs to just continue soldiering on, working hard as his coach has said, and aim a little bit big higher, knowing that this is just a start, and should it be at the end of his work career. He needs to understand that at the age of early 20s, he can as well hit at the mid-20s, playing in a bigger club that he's adoring in his career lifetime.
Eshtemi, briefly.
I think the lad is enjoying also the form of his life, thanks to the talented creative midfielders at Tusker. That is in Boniface Mshiri and Luke Namanda. That Luke Namanda is actually the donkey for Tusker, so industrious. And then we have Jackson Macharia, also doing also those supply. And then we have another donkey player called Hashim Sampala. So with all those supplies, I think Major has a chance to compete even with the likes of Rupia and Paito for the title, for the Golden Boot this season.
Now I want us to move away from the top scorers this season, but remember, these gentlemen could not be the top scorers without somebody providing for them. I want us to quickly take a look at the players with the top assists. They will be running on the end of your screen. And gentlemen, I want us to get into this conversation, the players that have made the most assists so far in the league. I want to begin with you, Steve Ayo. And we have 3 players with the 6 assists each. Let's begin with Kenneth Muguna for Gor Mahia. How influential and has he been for the champions?
I think he's the best midfielder we have in Kenya, to be honest. In the Kenyan Premier League, I don't see any midfielder who actually reaches his level. And the fact that he left the club, then came back, and just pretty much picked it from where he left and hitting the heights every season shows what kind of a player he is. So I'm expecting him actually. Gor Mahia is struggling right now, but I think if you look at some of the players who've kind of shown that they're still on form, I think Muguna is one of them. So it's just a case of actually him just, sometimes when you're performing so well and your teammates are not complimenting what you're doing, the results never go your way. And I think that's what has been happening with Gor Mahia. We saw him against Napsa Stars during the Cup Confederations Cup. He was very influential in the middle of the park. We saw him in the Mazzenbe derby as much as FC Leopards actually ensured that there was a man-to-man marking on him. Shichenje coming in, then after that, Eugene Muhangula coming in just to work on Muguna. So that just tells you what kind of a player he is. But like I said, I think the team is shooting below their levels right now. So he just needs to talk to the team, actually just lift them up with his performance, with his basically just talking on the pitch, just to lift the levels of his teammates, and the results will come in. So I don't think there's anything much else we can say about him other than just saying this is the best creative midfielder we have in the Kenyan Premier League.
Of course, Kenneth Muguna with 6 assists so far in the league. Cedric Musumba, let me throw this to you. James Mazzenbe for Kariobangi Sharks has also 6 assists.
I think Mazzenbe has just twisted Steve Ayo's mind to the fact that he has also registered 6. And I don't think if I will also borrow Steve Ayo's words by saying that Mazzenbe arguably is the best midfielder in FKF as it stands right now, simply because he has 6 assists.
Of course, we will get to an argument when it comes to that, because I'm saying this because Steve is saying Muguna is the best midfielder, you're saying Mazzenbe is the best, and I'm certain, Steve, I'm certain that Eshtemi is going to say Lawrence Juma, but Cedric, continue with your point. Actually,
I was heading there. It's only that you have preempted my mind to the fact that Lawrence Juma has playing from midfield and he has a hat-trick on his account. It doesn't define him as the best, as Steve would say. But I will say that FKF has really changed around in terms of midfield. And going by age, with time, Kenya has always had best midfielders try battling for those positions. And that's why you will see any coach that has come to Kenya, even our local coach, they will have a crop of midfielders as into their squad. Given it's a kind of a symbol of Kenya being rich in midfield. It's high time actually we start now harvesting those midfielders and as in painting them to the world arena, to the essence that they start bringing us back results. And these are the likes of when you mention, okay, Muguna might have been on his top notch, I might say so. He has been enjoying his career at that particular level. He's also trading in a very big club compared to Mazzenbe, who is trading at Kariobangi Sharks. But Mazzenbe, to the fact that he's young and he has also tried to challenge the likes of Muguna, who are trading in gold, should also be given the credit that he deserves. And also, holistically, we have seen what this lad can do. Straight away from Kakamega High School and trading for Kariobangi Sharks, a team that is barely only compared to Gor Mahia, and he's giving as a result to the NSA that he can only give out 6 assists, is a kind of a promising youngster who, if nurtured very well and being given the direction that is needed in this particular league, he can as well as outshine even the Muguna that Steve is really celebrating right now. I know the celebration will come to the fact that they are Kenyans and they are trading in Kenyan league, but Mazzenbe also has done a very... Steve,
Steve is trying to interject. Let's listen to Steve. Hold your thoughts.
Why is he running away with my time now?
Cedric, I think Cedric has gotten me wrong to an extent. I've said that Muguna is the best central midfielder that we have. If you put Muguna down on the wing where Mazzenbe plays, I think he's gonna struggle. And I'm not saying that Mazzenbe is not a quality player. He's one player that I've actually followed since he began his career. I went to him in South Africa during the Coca-Cola Under-16 tournament, and I could see that there was a future in this player. So I'm actually happy for him that he's making the right steps and he's making the big strides and performing in the Kenyan Premier League against big teams. So I think he's up there because he's been one of the best players actually this season. If you look at his performances game after game, he's always giving those assists. He's always the one who's bringing those crosses to the likes of Paito.
You agree with
as far as as far as Mazzenbe is concerned, I think he's a youngster who has a bright future. But I don't know why Cedric is taking issues with the fact that I say that Muguna is the best central midfielder.
Yes. So and I know if I let you continue with the talking about the two, we'll stick around the most assists. But Shtemi, there's and sorry Cedric, I put you on hold. Shtemi, there's one person that people are not talking about, and this is Bandari's Danson Namasaka.
I think he's an unsung hero. Remember his days at Zoo. He showed that he's a big player who can show up on big games. I remember even when Zoo played the likes of Sefslopa, Tusker, Ulinzi, Gor Mahia, he always give the Gor Mahia players, or rather the top 4 players, a run for their money. And that's how he got a chance to go to Bandari, where he helped them to win the Shield and then participated in the Confederation Cup. So for him also, I don't know, just like you have said, I am wondering why these people are not giving credit to that guy, because he's one of the reasons as to why Bandari right now is in top 10. Thanks to him, his combination with the Ugandan dancing Rasta in Wadri Williams. So we need to give credit where it's due. Though, a fact is that Kenya, we have gifted midfielders, but what we are lacking, it is the strikers. Strikers is a crisis. You can name 1, 2, 3 strikers in the Kenyan Premier League. And that is why most of the technicians are trying to convert these midfielders into scoring players. So you'll bank into the midfielders to give you the goals. But unfortunately, if we don't change our training and maybe our grooming tactics of these players, we'll continue banking on the midfielder to score goals. And that's not their role. Let's nurture the strikers who can give us goals and win games for us.
Yes, Cedric, I know you were talking earlier about James Saruni, and Steve Ayo and Roger Seshtemi did not agree with you that James Saruni should be on the Player of the Month shortlist. But let's get to the people, or rather the custodians that have made the most clean sheets. And we begin with James Saruni. He has 6 clean sheets so far. He tops at the table when you talk about the goalkeepers with the most clean sheets.
It's a goalkeeper that has amassed wealth if it comes to really stopping those goals from going past his arms. And is a goalkeeper that, given the trade that he has given Ulinzi, he has actually grown by age to become a captain for that particular team. Remember, Saruni is a kind of a goalkeeper, if you go by the result that Ulinzi has been collecting, who is celebrated on what the statistics has. And statistics doesn't lie. And that's why when I was trying to refer to even goalkeeper being awarded, that's how even you morale boost this sum of our goalkeeper. Where will you get good goalkeeper if you cannot really support them by giving them some award? Simply because we are in round 11. Round 11, as it stands, Ulinzi has registered several draws, which it's a kind of a definition that it is either blunt upfront.
They have 8 draws and they've lost 2 games. From the 11 they have played.
Exactly. And what does that really tell you? Defensive-wise, they are okay. And maybe moving forward is where they're losing it.
And it's something that we've always mentioned here, that they need to work on the attack.
On the attacking line. And by so doing, you cannot actually castigate or throw any stone to James Saruni, because he has done his due diligent duty by stopping any ball going past his arm. And I think it's high time, if not even celebrated at a national arena, and by that I mean FKFPL, he can as well as celebrated by the club, just to morale boost him. And when moving forward, we will have, Kenya has been struggling with goalkeeper. You remember just the other time when we were going to play Comoros, we roped in Origi. It's unfortunate that for his comeback, again we lost. If Saruni was in his form currently and maybe doing his duty the same way he's doing to Ulinzi, I think maybe we couldn't have lost, simply because we could have had goalkeeper instead of gambling for goalkeeping.
Yes, the other goalkeepers that have made the most clean sheets include Joseph Okoth for KCB, who has 5 clean sheets, and Justin Dikumana, 5 clean sheets for Bandari. Rogers Shemi, give us your thoughts on Joseph Okoth, who managed to soak in only 1 goal in December.
It is always unfortunate for goalkeepers when it comes to awards, because sometimes, the panelists, I don't know, they have always different opinions. And when it comes to a closely contested maybe tallying time, they go to the votes, and then now it is the person who gets the biggest votes that emerges the winner. And for players like maybe Saruni and Okoth, yes, they have done their best. They have helped their teams to garner a number of points, but now they are not celebrated, as Cedric said. But that shouldn't maybe pull them down, because they know once you are talented, you are talented. That talent is inborn, and somebody somewhere is looking at you, watching at you, and one time, he'll reward you. So for the likes of Okoth and Saruni, they shouldn't give up, because we know how talented they are, and they have shown exactly what they can do on in the past few FKFPL matches. For Okoth, because he's one of the person, and maybe one of the reasons as to why KCB have been impressive. And he is also not to be also given enough credit, because we also have to acknowledge the fact that he has one of the best defenders in the FKFPL at the moment, the likes of David Owino, the likes of Dennis, and then also you have the likes of Nation, who have been very impressive. So we need to at least motivate the goalkeepers, as well as maybe give credit to the defenders who ensure that they don't concede those goals.
Yes, Cedric, you want to add something on to what Shtemi has said?
I've just heard Shtemi actually has tried to vindicate some of my earlier sentiment by bringing into the fact that for this team actually to soldier on, they need to be solid enough and well-oiled actually to be moving forward. For instance, I have a policy that the best attacking team is the team that produces the best defensive mechanism. And this is actually articulated by the KCB kind of playing unit. To the fact that KCB has been solid enough, and it is a team that has been registering results, moving forward it has been attacking. That attack has given the KCB goalkeeper Odhiambo a cover to the fact that no threat has been faced. The only time I saw KCB facing threat is when they played against FC Leopard. And I wonder where that threat was really coming from, because since then, FC has never produced such like threats again. But moving forward, KCB, any team that it has been really facing, it has been out to attack and looking for goals. And at the moment a team attacks and tries to surge on the opponent, it loosened the attack on their side. And the goalkeeper then started registering those clean sheets. I think KCB goalkeeper has been given as a bale of covers that has really been attributed to the result that he's now giving us.
Yes, of course, those are the sentiments of Cedric. Remember, the most clean sheets, James Aruni has 6, Joseph Okoth has 5, and Justin Ndikumana has 5. Now, gentlemen, remember, we promised people that tonight we are talking about the players that have impressed so far until round 11 of the FKF Premier League. And I want to begin with you, Steve Ayo. We have players that have impressed so far, and I want us to take a look at these 3 players, and I want you to get your views on these 3 players. That is Daniel Otieno for Mathare United, Henry Major for Tusker, and Michael Mutinda, that is for KCB. What are your thoughts about how impressive these 3 gentlemen have been? Of course, we have others that will be moving too.
It's interesting that the 3 players you mentioned are actually players who are playing in the attacking midfield position. Mutinda, he was at Thika United just the season that they were relegated. He made the step up. I didn't feel like he was actually ready for the Kenyan Premier League, but the last 2 seasons with KCB, I think he's been quite sensational in that midfield role. Always very skillful with the ball on his feet, always very comfortable, always looks at that pass, he's always looking at that pass that's going forward. So I think it's been baby steps for him. Steady has really won the race for him so far, and it's actually I'm quite happy for him that he's actually even being called to the national team. That just shows you what kind of development that he's put on himself, the kind of work that he's put on himself just to keep improving every single day. I mean, KCB are where they are because of the likes of Mutinda and what they normally put on the training pitch and what they put on the field, and the fact that they listen to their coaches and implement whatever they work on during training. As far as Major is concerned, I think also is one player that we can credit with Tusker's position right now. Is they are where they are because of the likes of Major, the likes of Sempala, the likes of Mushiri, who's come in and I think is giving in the right performance that was expected from him. So I think so far really the league is quite competitive. If you look at those top 5 teams, they look like they can actually push all the way until the end of the season, and that's the kind of competition that we want. I mean, Gor Mahia have really been kind of sliding easily into the title the last 3-4 seasons. So this season looks a bit more competitive. I still feel like KCB, you know, with the likes of Mutinda in that team, I still feel like they have the right mentality and actually a very experienced coach who's won that title as a player and also as a coach. So I feel like they are actually quite in a good way to go ahead and win the title, but no one is letting it easy. You see the kind of performance that Tusker is putting in so far. You look at the kind of performance that Wazito are putting in. AFC Leopards are also right in the mix. So I feel like this season is shaping up to be such a competitive and good season, and that's good for the fans. Unfortunately, for the fans, they can't go to the field and watch the matches. But we do hope that things will change very soon.
Mm-hmm. Of course, so Mark, let's go back to that slide of the players that have impressed. Daniel Otieno for Mathare United, Henry Major for Tusker, and Michael Mutinda for KCB. Cedric, Michael Mutinda for KCB, very instrumental from the midfield.
I think that's where KCB has won the battle. And their midfield actually has been coordinating very well. And remember also, the format that KCB has been playing at some point, you will see their defensive, their wing back actually surging and trying to support the midfield. And I think that virtue has given the likes of Mutinda to shine, to the essence that if going by their wings, they are being supported, balls are really being brought in, and him as playing his given role by getting those balls and trying to supply the strikers. Where the strikers like the Samuel Mwangi, when they come in and they get those kind of good, I normally like referring to them, the defense splitting passes, which I've seen KCB do as in trading in this FKF Premier League.
Yes.
Those are the kind of passes that Mutinda has been giving these lads actually to score, and the result has been coming. And again, you might also attribute to him under his crop of midfielders to an essence that KCB, unlike this other team, does not over-rely on one striker. What does that mean? These are the kind of the feeders that these strikers are getting. They are getting a kind of passes that if you happen dare miss those chances, you live to regret in your lifetime. And those are the kind of the passes a midfielder of Mutinda's kind of you need to be bringing into the team. The only thing that I'm so much worried about him is that this result were not coming in when he was trading back to before at Thika. Now he's at KCB, and I think the urge of also being on top of the league has given him that morale of playing. I think he maintained those particular kind of standards. He played with an aim of higher. Let the sky not be his limit, but he played knowing that there is bigger team after KCB. And results will only come if he keeps on fighting for each and every season. And I think he will live his dream come at the end of the season.
Rogers Shtemi, briefly, Daniel Otieno for Mathare United, 4 goals to his name so far.
Before I talk about Daniel, let me chip in on Mutinda. I think Mutinda has come of age. Remember, he was roped in directly from Kakamega High School to Thika United. That's why maybe he didn't perform as expected while he was at Thika. But right now, he has matured and he has what it takes to play at the top level. And remember, he has complemented by speed wingers who make it easy for him, the likes of Simon Buko, and then we have David Owino. So those are the players who are really supporting Mutinda in the midfield, because once he receives the ball, he releases it to the wing, and once it is on the flanks, it is the likes of Fotanga, Henry Major, and then Samuel Mangi. They can easily slot in the ball into the net. Then back to Daniel Otieno. He's little known. Nobody knows about this guy. But from the few matches Mathare has played so far, I think this guy has been instrumental. Though Mathare has not been grinding out those results, the lad has been giving the opposition defenders a run for their money. He's well positioned. He can shoot from an angle. He can score with the headers. He can do anything that ball once is in the D. So I maybe try to I'm trying maybe to forecast in the 2 seasons or so, this guy will not be at Mathare. He'll either trade to FC Leopards, Gor Mahia, Tusker, or he'll go to maybe even the military side Ulinzi Stars, because he has that talent.
Yes, I want to stick with you still on these players that have impressed so far, but let's take a look at the other slide for other players that we've also named that have impressed so far in the league. We do have Alpha Onyango for Gor Mahia. We do have James Mazzenbe, who we've spoken about in the show a few minutes ago, and also we do have Eric Githimu. Now I want your input on Eric Githimu before Steve Ayo speaks about Alpha Onyango for Gor Mahia. Your thoughts on Eric Githimu?
Just like Daniel Otieno, nobody knew about Githimu maybe 2 seasons so ago, because this lad has been trading at the Division 2, and him getting a chance into the FKFPL via Bidco United, I think that tells you the lad is not a fluke. He wasn't given this chance maybe just by guesswork, but he has shown the matches he has played for Bidco. He's the person who has been scoring, though he's not a striker. He's just an attacking midfielder. He has been scoring those long ranges shots, and then even in the box when he gets a chance, he'll try to trouble the goalkeepers. I believe many coaches, or rather even Harambee Stars coaches, if they get that chance to watch this lad playing, I think they might give him a call-up at the national team, because there's nothing he can't with that ball. He has good ball control. He can take on the defenders. He can give the passes, the killer passes. As well, he can fall back and try to defend to help his team when under pressure. So for Coach Anthony Ahuli, I think he made a good acquisition in this guy called Eric Githimu.
Yes, of course, so those are your thoughts on Eric Githimu, 4 goals so far for Bidco. Alpha Onyango is the other guy that has impressed so far. And Steve Ayo, what do you make of this youngster? Of course, we'll be linking up with Steve.
For a player who's actually...
Yes, continue.
I'm here, Robbie.
Yes.
Yeah, for a player who's actually making the step up from the youth side, it actually says a lot about him. You know, as guys talking about one of the players who've actually impressed this season, and also we're talking about a player in a club that has actually not hit the heights that they've been known for. So if you're looking at him and you look at actually a lot of Gor Mahia players, the players who were there last season, plus the players who've been signing this season, I think he's one of the few really mad with stardust on his shoulders. So, but you know, like we've been saying with Mazzenbe, I think they just need to keep his foot on the ground, keep putting in the hours and the miles on his training, and you know, for him the sky is the limit, really, to use that expression that we often use. So. Yeah, Ruby, I think the Gor Mahia really generally as a club, they look into such kind of young players actually just to come in, integrate in and give in the performances that are expected of, because every season they lose a key player. So anyone who comes in there, there's normally a lot of pressure for them to perform. We see what's happening with Sidney Ochieng as well. Yeah, he came in from Tusker. He's trying to blend in with the team and with his new teammates. Alpha is actually. I think just the fact that he was in the youth club, maybe the Gor Mahia philosophy is in him, so he somehow finds it natural for him to just transition and hit the heights that he's hitting so far. But yeah, like I said, I think he just needs to put his foot on the ground and keep working hard, and he'll become one of those influential players for Gor Mahia.
So, gentlemen, we are running out of time, so please be brief for when giving these remarks. Cedric, let me come to you, and we are taking a look at the other players that have impressed so far. We have Peter Opio, Fabrice Mogela, and also even Kevin Kimani. But what do you make of Peter Pinches Opio for Nairobi City Stars?
Experience actually doesn't deny his talented prowess,
yes,
and it has been evident by how he's now training for Nairobi City Star. I remember seeing Peter Opio, by then being known as Pinches. I think that tag still stands until to date, given to the fact that he was training for one of the biggest team in this country has ever produced, and which still stands up to date, if I'm not that wrong. To the fact that he has traded for those big teams, and to the fact that he has also been blessed enough to play outside the country,
yes,
that was in Cyprus, that experience rich in soccer prowess as it's concerned has given them an edge of what the result he's producing right now. Peter Pinches, I think, is an engine of Nairobi City Star. We have seen him scoring for Nairobi City Star. We have seen him producing those killer passes.
Yes.
I don't want to call them defensive splitting because I've used them before, but those are killer passes that actually any given midfielder should train to produce.
Yes.
And it's a player who is now training as a leader in Nairobi City Star. Remember, Nairobi City Star, and at some point when we started this particular show, we remember telling our viewers that Nairobi City Star, just as Kariobangi Sharks and as well as Bidco, at their inception league matches, they produced very nice, scintillating kind of soccer that anyone would like to watch. And who was this lad behind it? Anthony Kimani, Peter Pinches Opio. But Opio has leaved actually Kimani behind to the fact that he has been trading very well, bringing in goals when he's required to, and leading that particular pack of Nairobi midfield units as a team member. And I think that's what makes him stands out in that particular team.
Shtemi, we do have Fabrice Mugela for FC Leopards, we have Kevin Kimani, but I want your thoughts on Lawrence Juma. 5 goals so far from midfield for Sofapaka.
Yeah, he's giving the value for the money. He was one of the highly signed players in the previous transfer. So I think he needs to be scoring. He needs to be producing those assists. He needs to be assisting in the defense. And that's the work he's doing. Remember, he's one of the players who have already scored the hat-trick this season. Yeah. So I think Kalekwa and Sofapaka at large, they're happy with this performance so far. But it's not yet over for him, or rather he has not yet reached the peak, because him having played at Gor Mahia Club, I think he won 2 titles with them also. And then him having played also for the national team, he needs to carry that experience and help Sofapaka to contest for the title, because they have everything, they have what it takes, they have the capacity, they have the resources, and they have, I think, the talent within that team to give other teams a run for their money for the title. But now it's upon to him. Though remember, he also got a red card in the last few matches against, I think, Nzoia Sugar. That might have slowed down his performance, but now he came back and then scored against Zoo. So that is a motivation to him, and I'm happy you have recognized him as one of the best performers in this season so far.
Cedric, you wanted to add something on to what Roger Shtemi has spoken about Lawrence Juma for Sofapaka.
Roger's thought has just reminded me something, and this is a kind of an observation that I think will all of us like to share. To the fact that Lawrence Juma is trading right now for Sofapaka has been at Gor, but remember where this lad has come from. Is from Nzoia Sugar. And then the kisa comes a question, which is the greatest feeder of this FKFPL, or of KPL as it used to be called before? We have seen the likes of Boniface Omondi, who also came from Nzoia Sugar, is now at Wazito. Again, he traded for Gor.
Rupia came from
We are seeing Rupia, who is scoring goals, came from Nzoia. We are seeing Lawrence Juma, came from Nzoia. And all those players that we are talking about, they are top-notch as in lads in this particular league. This gives you the fact that if team can really follow the formula of Nzoia Sugar, then we can start having a crop of players that we want to enjoy in this league of ours. I
think Nzoia will just remain a factory of producing players, because Western is a hub of talent, and there's no single day you lack up a talent to put in the team. You see, even Luke Namanda came from Nzoia. The likes of Hilary Wandera came from Nzoia. So that tells you keep on producing the players, sell them to Nairobi-based teams, produce them from high school, continue competing. And that is what exactly Nzoia is doing.
Gentlemen, before we wind up, of course, we've spoken about these players that have impressed so far: Daniel Otieno and Henry Major, Michael Mutinda. We do have Alpha Nyango, James Mazzenbe, Eric Githimu, Peter Opio, Fabrice Mugela. We have Kevin Kimani and Lawrence Juma. And we want to take a look at the squad that was selected by that is the national football team head coach, that is Jacob Gostumule, the local best players that are in camp so far. And this is the squad that was selected. And briefly, I want to begin with Steve Ayo. We've spoken about the players that have impressed. What do you make of this squad? And of course, we do have a number of players that we've spoken about right here on the show that are in this squad.
Yeah, I think it was a well-balanced squad. It's a representative actually of what's actually been happening in the league. You see some of the top 5 teams well represented in that national team lineup. But as we've seen before, and as we always complain, why call all these locally based players? And when once they get into the competitive, maybe when they get into a competitive game, then they just bring somebody from outside and they use that opportunity. Yes, these are the players that we watch week in, week out. Actually, right now it's after every 3 days there's a league match. Then suddenly someone comes from outside, and the whole team just looks a bit different. So I won't say much about the squad, because I really look forward to seeing how some of these locally based players will be integrated into the national setup once the whole thing comes in together and they're actually preparing for a competitive game.
Briefly, Eshtebi, briefly.
I second what Steve has said, but the interesting thing or the pleasing thing is to see 6 players, that is from Kakamega School, making it to the squad. We have Brian Bwire, we have Colin Shichenje, we have Michael Mutinda, we have Mazzenbe, we have Nashon, we have Boniface Onyango. Those are players who have gone through Kakamega School. And just like we have said with Cedric, I think Western is a hub of talent, bearing the fact that Nzoia Sugar has also been doing the same. So I give credit to the selectors, but they need to do more and maybe give these players a chance when they name the final squad for the competition.
Cedric, briefly, what do you make of the squad and the players that we've mentioned?
It's good for competition. Also, I'm still looking at the obvious field category, and that's the midfield, where the competition has always been stiff in Kenya. And at this particular time, we are still seeing that competition actually cropping up, given to the kind of the player that Ghost has really named there. But my big question will always be on how is it that KCB has dominated in this particular provision? KCB has got like 5 to 6 lads in this particular league. Does it mean that KCB is an exemplary compared to other teams that are competing? Okay, you might have a team that is trading at the lower, maybe at the bottom of the league.
25 points
but
from
still,
10 matches, and they have a game in hand against, they have a game in hand, while Tusker is leading with 26 points with 11 matches.
But leading doesn't mean that holistically this is a national team.
Yes.
You leading the pack doesn't mean that you can produce even 11 players. For Gor Mahia could have represented Kenya for Africa Cup of Nations simply because it has over ages running away with the trophy.
How many foreigners are in KCB? This is a conversation that will continue.
No,
with
Robbie,
time.
let me chip in. I think
briefly,
it's not only KCB.
Yes.
Also, Sharks, I think, has 6 players also.
Yes.
So you can't condemn KCB, and Sharks has also produced the same number of players.
Yes.
That shows this team were the players in those teams were at their best when the selectors maybe watched them or rather made the call-ups.
So let's quickly run through, before we wind up the show, let's quickly run through the transfers that have been made. Let's begin with Wazito. Remember, they've acquired the services of Elias Sieche, who was in action for them over the weekend, Eric Otieno, and they also have Levis Opio and John Odhiambo, who've joined them. When you move away from Wazito, let's get into the transfers done so far by Sofapaka. They've acquired the services of Bizimana Misi and also Abdul Mubarak, and they have David Shimirimana and Joseph Waithera, who is at Sofapaka on loan. Those are some of the players that have been acquired by Wazito. We move to Gor Mahia. Remember, Gor Mahia acquired the services of Harun Shakava, and they also have Abdul Karim Soko. And aside from Gor Mahia, we do have Western Stima, who acquired players from Uganda, and that is Martin Mpuga and Isaac Doka. Those are some of the transfers that have been made so far. But when the transfer comes to an end, we'll provide the full list of the complete transfer. Now, gentlemen, as we wind up, we are heading into match week 12. Briefly, what are you looking forward to? Let me begin with Steve Ayo. Match week 12, what are you looking forward to?
More competition, really. And of course, I want to see Ulinzi Stars turning those draws into wins.
Yes.
I'm also expecting my team, Zuke Richo, we are yet to get to register 3 points on the board this season. We are in a position that we are not used to.
Just a moment, Steve. Cedric, why are you laughing at
Sometimes it's quite not convincing for a panelist of Steve's magnitude to lie on a national TV that he has now
Probably
changed his allegiance to.
That is his team.
How old is Zuka Richo?
That is his team. Finish your thought, Steve.
Cedric, let it be known to you and to everyone watching in the nation and beyond that Zuka Richo is my team, has always been my team. Yeah, so I was saying that I do hope that we'll turn our fortunes around, because we don't belong there. I'm actually worried that if you don't turn out those defeats and those draws into wins, we are going to really struggle this season. So yeah, I do hope that our results will turn over. Obviously, I'm also quite expecting the competition at the top of the table to keep cranking up. So that's one thing to look into.
Shtemi, what are you looking forward to match of week 12?
I sympathize with the IO as well as Zoo, because the next
looking forward, you are just giving IO sympathy.
I'm just sympathizing with them, because the next 2 matches or so, they're going to determine the fate of Coach Herman Iswera. If he loses those matches, definitely he'll be the next casualty to be fired. And then I'm looking forward to seeing how the new FC Leopard coach will fare on his debut, as well as Stanley Okombe at Posta Rangers.
Yes, Cedric, what are you looking forward to?
I expect a stand of surprises, to the essence that, remember, the league has taken a break when teams are really trying to heal their wounds to the fact that we have a semi-transfer window happening. And there are some teams who have seen that very fast, and they have roped in some players, the likes of Sofapaka. We have seen Gor Mahia doing so. We have also seen FC Leopard trying to seal their central defense by bringing in Tedia Esibali. These teams, actually, they are trying to reassemble themselves, and when they come back, maybe come round 11, round 12, I think there will be a crop of surprises to those who thought that it has been a party after party after party.
Of course, Cedric saying that he expects surprises this coming weekend. Now, round 12, these are the fixtures for round 12 of the FKFPL League. Posta Rangers will be taking on Tusker. Vihiga will be in action against Kariobangi Sharks. Bidco United will be hosting Mathare, while Bandari takes on FC Leopards. Ulinzi will be in action against Sofapaka, while Nzoia battles KCB. City Stars takes on Steve Ayos Zoo, and Western Steamer battles Homeboys. Those are the fixtures that we have for round 12. Gentlemen, Steve Ayo, thanks a lot for making time to give us your insights on FKFPL review show on a weekend that we do not have Premier League football. And Roger Shtemi, thanks a lot for coming into studio and giving us your thoughts on the players that have been impressive. And also, Cedric Musumba, thanks a lot for your insights on what we should expect from the players that have impressed so far. That is where we call it a night here on the FKFPL Review Show. My name is Robinson Okenye. Have a good night.